Fun. That's hold on one second. We're back. Sorry about that. We had a major crash. I apologize if you were talking into a hole for a minute, which you were. Sorry about that, Cliff.
That's pretty much my entire life. That's okay.
Yeah. So right about the time, it's all the good news we can't allow them to have. So we are back up online there, and I believe we should be fine on Insta.
I can't see you.
That'll happen in a second. Don't worry. I got that coming in just a second.
Okay.
It
but
should
kind of
be
cool as a disembodied voice, so it's okay.
It's good times. All right. Video settings should be this guy. OBS. Cycle. Oh, because that's got to be turned back on. Start. Boink. There we go. Ta-da!
All right. So you know what? I will move very quickly through what I was going to say because I don't. I mean, again, I don't know. I don't want to get too much in the weeds, but what it comes down to is one, Dobbs effect. And you're even seeing that in that Iowa poll that came out that showed independent women and older rural women. That's right, ones that are conservative, that didn't much think about it, and were probably often anti-choice, and now their granddaughters and daughters don't have the rights that they had. They're kind of freaked about it. So they're not capturing women that haven't voted in the past and younger folks in these polls. We've been outperforming them because people that would have been considered unlikely to vote in the past are voting. That's one. Two, Trump is a moron. You know that. Fired everybody, got rid of his entire ground game. We built one of the most comprehensive, largest, most integrated, the best people from the Clintons, from Obama, from Biden, and Harris as her people. It's enormous. She gave over $200 million to Senate races in states, parties to turn people out. Trump took it all and used it probably for lawyers and Laura's crappy, or whatever her name is, singing career. They didn't, and they hired Elon Musk. And if you saw a story this weekend, you saw that Elon Musk flew a bunch of people up to Michigan with the promise of paying them and paying for their hotels, drove them around in a dangerous van with no seats, like they were a bunch of sardines. And then when one of them talked to Wired, fired them all, refused to pay them, and left them stranded there. Well, he's a dick. We know that. That's the kind of thing he would do. But the other side of that equation is, guess what? Those people that were supposed to be knocking on doors were not knocking on doors because he fired them. Like they've gotten 1 in 4 in Nevada and Arizona of the people's signups they've gotten of supposed Trump voters have been false, because people you pay when you look for the lowest common denominator and pay people the least amount of money to do this aren't going to do it. They don't want to do it. The people who are passionate or volunteers, their turnout operation is absolute shit. That's two. And ours is excellent. And then, of course, the third thing is these polls have not been right from the beginning because all these stupid aggregators and people and the news media plays up to it because they want the clicks. Some Democratic candidates do because it helps them raise money to say, I'm down 4 points and whatever. But they've included Rasmussen, Trafalgar, all these crappy made-up organizations that skew the polling averages. So it's never actually been correct. So when you add all three of those things, I'm telling you right now, if we had a functioning news media and we hadn't let a right-wing propaganda hydra grow right under our noses, we'd be looking at Reagan Mondale or LBJ Goldwater.
Agreed.
I don't think we're looking at that. But I do think we're looking at something along the lines of Obama in 08, 7 to 8 point win in the end, maybe as big as Clinton's reelect in 96, where he won by 9.5. And but I think I'm going to stick with the Obama one, 7.5, and we're going to and every swing state right now that I can see. The only one I even have the slightest doubts about is Georgia, and that's only because the Republicans run the government there. But even there. With Stacey Abrams and everything she's done, we've been successful there. The last two turnout operations, there we've won those Senate races and everything. We've got 100,000 Puerto Ricans who live there. Don't know if you saw the Univision poll. They're rightly pissed. So everything and suburban women are fucking. So every swing state. And the last thing I'll say, Hal, because I know I've been talking too much, is the Puerto Rican attack even puts Florida more into play than it was. And it's going to be very interesting what happens there. All right.
Agreed.
I'm done.
So I completely agree. And I would say on top of so you have two big swaths of voters, obviously, this time around. We have the locked in vote that's been there basically since before August. As soon as the dates started coming, like September, as soon as early voting started in states, the votes started stacking. These are the people who don't trust the mail, are nervous about the election, want to quell their anxiety, but also want to bank their vote. Just do it. They know who they're going to vote for. They don't need to have another, like none of the ads are going to convince them. They're already convinced. And a lot of those people are turning out to be the fuck Trump vote, even from the Republican side. That's
the key. So because they were doing it like they're like, look at all these Republicans voting early, and what they don't realize is so many Republican college educated voters in general, men and women, but even more so, Republican women are turning against them, that they can't judge by registrations anymore. There's a bunch of registered Democrats because they were FDR Democrats in Appalachia who are right wing as fucking never voting for us. The registrations, the parties are moving. It doesn't mean what it used to mean. We showed that when Hillary won all these suburban areas, and then so did Joe Biden. Classic example. I'm sitting in the city of Cincinnati. You know, Hal, you're not from far away from here. This is a corporate town. Procter & Gamble is based here. Kroger, all these. This used to be the classic moderate Republican town. Republicans used to win here. When they went crazy on social issues, when they went nuts to the far right, all these types of people who are sort of these moderate suburban type voters started becoming Democrats. And with Dobbs and Trump, women on steroids. And so now Hillary Clinton was the first one to win Hamilton County, the county here, and she won it, I think, with 55 or 58%. Joe Biden won it with about 64, 65. I'm telling you right now, Kamala Harris is going to win this area, the suburbs, whatever, by over 70%. And so that's happening across the country. And these are still, a lot of these people are still registered Republican, but they're not voting that way.
Right, and and the same thing's going to be true, I think, in Cleveland and Columbus. I think Cleveland will be the biggest Trumpish enclave, but Columbus, because of the college aspect of it, and the younger voters there, and the way older voters there, is an even split in that area. That's two major, cities in Ohio going the Democrats' way already. So
we're like Iowa, so we're like 1 point to the left of Iowa in the last two elections. That poll that showed them up 3 in Iowa, I tried to explain that to people. They just did a poll here. We're only down 3. I explained to people a couple months ago, the Republicans took an internal poll. I've been talking about this for a while. And all I knew, I never got the exact results, but I got the results I heard through connections. They freaked out. I'm guessing it showed us up a couple of points. So they started advertising heavily here when they should have been spending that money elsewhere. And all it got them to was a +3. Iowa is the natural evolution because there was no Sherrod Brown type race there. So I don't think they ever bothered to poll Iowa because they're incompetent boobs. And so in the end, they had no idea till this poll came out that they were in trouble. And the same thing would be going on here. And again, with our turnout operation that we have versus theirs, Ohio is still not completely theirs, right? Even if they're truly up by about 3, a great turnout operation versus a non-existent one, like they've got a crappy turnout operation in swing states. In places they don't consider swing states, they don't even have any at all. We could easily make up 3 or 4 or 5 points in turnout.
If it even exists, because it's within the margin of error. 3 is within the margin of error anyways. So the existence of that 3 is not a solid 3 to start with, even without what you're talking about, like the high turnout, low, or good turnout operation
versus effect and the turnout machines. I'm just saying. This could, I am trying to actually temper things and say, okay, Obama 08 would be wonderful. 7.5 point win all the key swing states, maybe grab Florida or Texas or both too. But if all of those things come into play, that they had already been messing with polling and it's not as close as, as it seemed, which is what I believe, and the Dobbs effect, and then turnout on top of that, you could win Ohio, you could win Iowa, you could start looking at places like Missouri. So, I mean,
and Texas gets razor thin and scares the living shit out of them, and Colin Allred wins the race. So that's a very strong possibility. And the point I was making about the Puerto Rico vote earlier is that because of that baked-in vote, because of the people who've already made their decision, who've seen all they need to see, or have maybe even in the case of Trump voters, stupidly made their decision and missed all the Epstein drops and were worried about an October surprise and wanted to have an excuse. Well, I voted for him in September. I didn't realize, some people do that so they can excuse their vote.
There are a few, I've heard stories, there are a few Puerto Rican voters going to the polls and seeing if they can change their votes. Sadly, they cannot.
No, they cannot. And in this particular case, the low information voter who is undecided to this point and ultimately will make their decision tomorrow has seen as a closing argument, if you work for a living and you got a lot on your plate and you don't drink from the fire hose of news like we do, you only catch the biggest chunks of stuff, both from the news and social media, one way or the other. And so here's what they saw.
Only the breakthrough stuff that makes headlines and chyrons is the way I tend
That's
to.
right. That's right. Headlines and chyrons have shown them over the last little bit that at Madison Square Garden, Trump or someone with him said Puerto Rico is an island of garbage. They just heard through the haze of that, or they watched the clip of Tony Hinchcliffe saying it, and they went, wait, this guy opened for Trump, and the old, like, I don't know him is not a disavow, so fuck that. So that evaporates. So all they see is the guy saying it at this huge rally in New York for Trump that looks like the Hitler rally. And then the next thing they see is this.
And it was meant to, because they've been doubling down on the uber masculine. They think if they turn out every last angry male voter, they win. So that's been their strategy.
Right. The next thing they see is this dumb motherfucker in a garbage truck wearing a garbage vest, which if you just walked into the room and only heard 50% of what was going on, it's like, wait a minute, what is he going to sell fucking Puerto Rico now? Is this his get rid of Puerto Rico shit?
Too? Like, nobody heard about their stupid little, I know it was a wonderful attempt by them, Megyn Kelly getting all dressed up as a garbage bag, which she should do every day if she wanted to represent herself honestly, but for Halloween and all that. But most people never heard about that Biden remark because it didn't break through, right? And so when Trump did that, I was shocked. Again, I get shocked at how dumb his political team is again and again. He's put on a garbage vest, getting in a garbage truck, and if you're Puerto Rican, you're watching that, you're like, they're fucking attacking us again?
Yes.
You know, they're mocking us again? I mean...
Right. If you missed, and even the whole, like, Biden said something about them being in the being garbage or whatever, like, they're all going to go, he was obviously referencing the thing that came first. So I don't know what he's saying, but he's dressed up like he hasn't, and Trump never disavowed it. I think that's the key fucking part of it. Trump never disavowed it. Never. He said, I don't know the guy.
He's the opposite of a strong man. I just did a video about it, you know, which is men who are strong actually can show emotion. They don't need to bully because they feel strong on the inside. They can apologize and admit they're wrong.
Yeah.
Everything of this fake 1950s, we're tough guys thing Republicans do. And Trump could had the ability to just get up and apologize and say, we made a mistake in choosing that guy. Of course, if he ever did that, he wouldn't be the guy he is. He'd be such a different human. And so he wouldn't apologize, and he makes it worse with all that. And again, influencers, this is where this stuff comes up, where this stuff breaks. So it broke through. The first two I saw, I mean, eventually J-Lo jumped in hugely, 250 million Instagram followers, and was giving speeches and whatever. But the first two were Ricky Martin and Bad Bunny were the first two, with 45 million for Bad Bunny, and that's just Instagram, and 19 million, I think, for Ricky Martin. And that is one of the biggest reasons it broke through. From all the racist crap they say, all the garbage, no pun intended, that the Republicans throw out there, those two influencers getting shocked and angry and putting that up, and then Mark Anthony did, and J-Lo did, and a whole bunch of other folks, and it flew through Latino media, and boom, it broke through in a way very few other things have. These guys, and so I think it's Univision just did that poll. 71% of Puerto Ricans said they were less likely to vote for Trump because of what he said. I mean, they were angry, and I would be angry too. Frankly, I'm angry at plenty of things he said about all sorts of people. So. I mean, I think it can't not make Florida more interesting.
Exactly. And it also goes into the whole, like, all politics is local. And when you insult a group of people directly, you mobilize those people. And that's that's what you try not to do in the negative sense. You don't want to turn out any hate vote in your last week. It's why everybody seems like a kiss ass in politics their last week, while they'll go after their opponent, but they'll try to win over any of their opponent's followers that they can. Anybody they can break loose, they'll try to go. That's where the whole, like, I'll be a president for all Americans comes from. It's true, it's part of the job, but also you focus and accent that in the last days in case anybody's having second thoughts about their candidate. It makes total sense. But the one thing you don't do is single out a group of people for religious reasons or whatever it is, or ethnic reasons certainly, and go, we'd be better off if those people weren't here. Because holy shit.
Right, and as we know, that's just the one that broke through. I mean, he talked about wanting the media to
Right.
get shot. He talked about the fact that he should have just stayed in
Good
office
Lord.
after 2020. I mean,
Right.
he's said a number of things equally as insane as his comedian's Puerto Rican comments were. He said a number of things equally as racist since then. The difference is that if you say and act like a gauche, horrid douchebag enough times, which he does, and he chooses the people around him specifically for that reason, some of it's gonna break through eventually, and a lot of it couldn't, because our media won't do their job. And thankfully, our media didn't have to do their job in that one, because Puerto Rican influencers did. And then once they did, it became a gossipy type story the media loves, and then they jumped on it because Ricky Martin says blah 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 is what they like. And then they also feel like they're not picking sides, right? They can both sides it. They're not condemning Trump for it. They're reporting that Ricky Martin's condemning Trump for it. And it just went everywhere.
Right.
And I mean, that was the final nail in the coffin right there.
Yeah, there's going to be an issue, of course, with turnout versus like the polling. And yesterday, I will say that finally, I feel like some of the stuff I start shoving into the news feed breaks through, because I know because this is Hal Sparks Mornings Mega Worldwide, and it's the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. This is Cliff Schechter, by the way. Cliff has a show called Cliff's Edge that you need to watch. Any live streams as well.
I have a live stream that I do. It's just it's not the greatest ever, because that's Hal's, but it's like top 5. And today, if you feel like joining, I'm going to answer questions on some of these very topics at 2 p.m. I'm just going to jump on there. Mine has been sort of more of a last couple of weeks. I've started doing it, and I love it. So I'm doing more and more
Central,
live streams,
Eastern?
taped videos. Yeah, 2 p.m. Eastern today. I'm going to do probably
Eastern
about 45 minutes to an hour, and it's just going to be for the audience. Anybody who wants to come in. Often I do it right after Tony Michaels, who I know you've had on, and Tony Michaels' audience will join me. And so if anybody in your audience, I'll send you guys, I'll send you a link and to you, Hal, if you want to share it or whatever. And I'll put it on Twitter and everywhere. And any questions, I'm happy to answer. So.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
It's not as good as Hal's, because Hal's is the best morning Mega Worldwide stream in the history of streams.
Well, all my live stream, any live stream I do is the greatest live stream that's ever happened until the next one. And I am indeed Hal Sparks, the most Hal Sparks you'll ever see Hal Sparksing anywhere. And I will keep talking like this until it stops working as a marketing scheme. It's what brought us Trump, and I promise to only use it for good.
Repetition, Hal. And frankly, honestly, I can't claim to have anything as cool as you until, and I've brought this up before, the day that I get to tell Spider-Man that it looks a little tight around his crotch. Yeah, and I'm hoping I have that day on screen, but I'm not an actor, so it's probably not going to happen. But if it does, then I'll be able to claim that I too have the greatest.
In the world of, since the singularity will be here in the next probably 8 years, the chances of you actually standing next to either a real or robot Spider-Man in a suit in an elevator goes up precipitously in the next decade.
That's a great point. Because, just like everything else that's gotten out of control because of these, and it's a good tie-in to what we like to talk about here, these idiot right-wing tech bros who think they know everything and mostly leveraged, backgrounds from apartheid South Africa into I didn't even know that's where Thiel apparently is from too, and I think and David Sachs. It's like they're all. I mean, it's like it feels like I'm watching The Boys from Brazil, like there's some Hitler, next generation movie. All these apartheid South Africans came here with their tech bro fascist theories about how they're better than everybody else, smarter than everybody else, even though they're the biggest bunch of dumb douchebags, most of whom had money from their parents, invested money that their parents had, got lucky on something like PayPal would be the example. Instead of just going away with 130 million and saying, hey, I'm not that great, I got lucky. They decide to steal other people's ideas and try to do bigger things and inevitably fuck them all up. As Musk has done with Twitter.
These are people with blood diamond money who think that they, they were born smart instead of rich, which is what the case is with Elon. And I gotta say, it is increasingly obvious that Musk and I don't know what his connection to his father is, but his father definitely is still pissed about it, about the fall of apartheid. They blame the United States and the UK for that. And so Peter Thiel and these others were like, we were on fucking easy street. We had a version of the Confederate South going in South Africa, and you fuckers messed it up with your stupid music music and your entertainment and your artists who wouldn't play here and calling it out. And we lost we lost the gravy train, and we're still fucking pissed about it.
They are. Once we kick Trump's ass in this election, okay?
Yeah.
Then we need to have a. It's not like this is just for election periods. This should be how we understand our media doesn't understand anything but narratives. That narrative about who J.D. Vance is, about who Vivek Ramaswamy is, who are both cult members of these apartheid tech bros, and their view of how they want to live forever. We're just goo to them. If we can be like human experiments to help them figure out how to live longer, that's what they're looking at. They're really not far from Nazis, to be quite honest with you. And their whole thing is that they think they're going to evolve into cyborgs and be able to live forever. That's what Peter Thiel's goal is, or Thiel, or whatever you pronounce his stupid fucking name. So that is what we're dealing with. But Elon Musk doesn't even have the basic competence to hire some people with an app to come and knock on the right doors and come back and give him honest numbers without either them giving him fake numbers or his firing them. The way he bought Twitter for $42 billion, and it's now estimated to be worth about $8 billion. It was never worth 42 or 44 or whatever he paid for it. No. But he overpaid.
It was worth it as a way of subverting democracy and as a PR expenditure for the billionaire class to eliminate certain taxes and help Trump get in so that they could avoid paying, billions of taxes over the next few years. You just dump into there and you help him get elected by buying this thing. In the same way that Bain Capital bought up all the left-leaning political stations, even though and started losing money on them, which is a violation of their fiduciary duty to their investors. But their investors didn't file a complaint because their investors wanted, the Patriot 960 to be put up everywhere so they could undermine, so that they could, subvert the raising of taxes against them.
No, you're right. The problem is that Thiel, I don't even know what Sachs does. I'm sure he manages his family's money or something stupid like that.
Right.
The problem for someone like Elon Musk is the bet that he was making there, in that process, our media, and I talk often about the irresponsibility of the political media, but clearly the tech media is just as bad. They sold us a version of this guy. And again, I'm what you would call a low information voter in the tech media world. I read more about it now, but I didn't used to a lot. So all I knew is what I saw on the surface. And I was like, oh, wow, Elon Musk seems like a Tony Stark guy, which is what they were trying to sell us. And his image has been destroyed, since he started opening his mouth on Twitter. So if his bet doesn't pay off and Trump doesn't win, what he's managed to do is completely alienate the entire market for Teslas. I mean, in the end, it used to be something that people on the left were proud of having.
The Tesla stock is following the poly market, right?
So I mean, who's going to be his market? The right hates green energy, and Trump still attacks it all the time with his shark and battery story. That's what that whole stupid thing is supposed to be about, how batteries are bad and green energy is bad, and, windmills kill birds. We just want oil, baby. So in the end, Elon Musk has offended the entire market of people that are going to buy his products. And I mean, again, who's going to be buying Teslas that would have before?
Yeah, it is stunning to me that I got to say, if there's one guy who found a sweet spot and then pissed it away, it's Elon Musk. Elon Musk is very similar. He's the sort of political and stock market version, the industrial and stock market version of Trump's politics, which is just absolutely, steal territory and shit the bed. And in this particular instance, is an electric car salesman and being on the cutting edge of the idea and the future of carbon free and all that stuff, he made himself effectively a sweetheart of liberals and progressives, and then just set forth on shitting on them on his main audience.
Lit it on fire. Right. I mean, before he opened his stupid mouth, we all thought the guy was, I'll admit it, I thought the guy was a hero for what he was doing, because he never opened his mouth before, and all I knew was what he was doing. This is, 7-8 years ago. But I just think he's a younger version of Donald Trump. I mean, essentially, it's the ego and the Russia connections and the whatever.
Also bullshit.
The EQ.
It's also
He's a liar. He doesn't pay people he says he's going to.
Right.
Yeah. He sexually harasses the employees and all this stuff. And then you see what he's doing now. It's in the same way Trump destroyed what he had built. I mean, if you think about how gauche, I mean, a guy that gets up and basically simulates giving a blowjob to a microphone is a guy that somehow had built this high-end brand of where people wanted to go to his golf clubs and live in his stupid towers and, you know, go and in his buildings. And now how many of those across the world they've had to take the Trump name off of because nobody will live there anymore? Like, people don't want to be people who actually, you know, like finer things and have the money to, don't want to be associated with it. They don't want to go to his golf courses. They don't want to live in his buildings. All sorts of people have moved out, and like, he killed his whole luxury brand. So it's now his brand is selling cheap shit to dumb people who don't have a lot of money because he can't. His luxury brand's dead. Yeah, this is. Well, I mean, also, you know, Russian money too. That's the other part.
That's you know, Trump's Russian money is the equivalent of the apartheid money that Elon Musk had, the blood diamond and blood mineral and blood emerald money that he had. That, you know, that was the seed money for everything that he's doing. And the problem is, you know, look at JD Vance. JD Vance is the perfect example of what I would call like a middle tier venture capitalist. He's the voice of another venture capitalist who just basically up till he ended up running for office would go around the country offering potential money to tech bros and other people and startups and stuff. And those people they wine and dine you, and they take you to cigar bars, and they take you on fucking, you know, to nice vacation spots and strip clubs and shit like that. And then you just a few weeks later go, you know what, my guy went another way. And they still it's like they are, you know, they're like an evil version of John Candy's character in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, just kind of like sapping off whoever they run into.
Yes.
And it's hideous, and there's no upside to it. There's no value added in this. In the same way that Tesla only exists because of the 2009 bailout that Obama insisted on putting money for electric cars in that bailout. If he didn't do that, there's no fucking Tesla. And
I don't
Trump
get it,
was
though.
against the entire bailout.
I thought Elon was against government intervention and socialism. It's weird, but he took all that government money.
It's almost like he's a hypocrite and a liar. There's not a single Tesla, SpaceX, XAI. There's not a single Musk company that doesn't exist on government contracts or government seed money. Not a one.
Yep. And his comeuppance is going to be beautiful. Yeah. Because if they don't remove him, kill every contract that they can do legally. I mean, the man is a national security threat, so he needs to be removed from anything to do with defense to begin with. Right. But then it's not about punishing your enemies. It's not even, there are going to be people that advocate for Trump and vote for Trump. And, if they have the best product or whatever, as a government, you're supposed to look fairly at everything. No, this is somebody who tried to help Trump in a disinformation environment, overthrow democracy, made comments about the current sitting vice president of the United States being assassinated. He's a risk, and he's somebody that really the government should realize is not really in his right mind, which is why he's jumping around on stage like Tom Cruise on a sofa on the Today Show.
Right.
He's being removed from business with government. Because I think much like Donald Trump, he's clearly not stable enough.
There's a very strong chance that sometime next year, SpaceX and some of the other companies and Starlink, which is technically a separate company, will have to choose between having him as the controlling CEO or losing their contract. And that there will be very strong guards on the amount of information sharing they can do, even if he's still the primary investor owner. But, that there are a lot of situations. If you own Boeing stock, you don't get to look at the secret plans that Boeing has for Air Force One. Right. You don't get, even though, because technically you're one of the owners, you own stock in the company, but you don't get to peak. And even if you're a majority owner, it doesn't work that way. And even the CEO has, certain teams that are on a need to know basis below them. And that person can be read in on things. One of the reasons why tech company leaders are so expensive when they pay for them is because they're harder to find than people who run other businesses as far as CEOs, because they have to pass security clearance or be the brains behind the whole thing. Elon Musk snuck in under the idea that he's the brains behind the whole thing, and it was a boiling water effect with the national security group, and a lot of it happened under Trump, where he was getting like more briefings and contracts than he had earned. And so SpaceX really did blossom under Trump. That's what the beginning of Space Force was basically him buying Elon Musk, early.
Right, but I mean, you have to, but you just have to sit there very simply and say, beyond all of his reprehensible politics and whatever, which again you're not supposed to take into account, at least the political beliefs or whatever, but statements, the disinformation, fake videos that he shared on Twitter to the point where the Secretary of State of Georgia asked him to, who's a Republican, told him to take down a fake video. The assassination remark about Kamala Harris, the various ways he was trying to buy people and pay them off so that he's being potentially prosecuted in Pennsylvania to register and to vote. The laws he's broken, sitting on that idiot Joe Rogan's show and smoking a joint. I mean, again, is that a big deal if that's you or me? No, but if he's is that the CEO you want? If you're Tesla, is that the CEO you want? If you're, you know what I mean? I mean, some of the crazy remarks he's made, sitting there and telling advertisers to go fuck themselves for not advertising on Twitter, like he did at a big corporate meeting. Is that the guy that you want running your company? And then suing them for not advertising. I mean, again, in how many ways has he shown he's unstable to the point if you're either government or you're a corporate board, you're like, get this guy the fuck out of here.
Well, it's like the RFK thing. It's like RFK Jr. in charge of women's. It did not take but like 2 seconds to find a video of him saying, would you sign a national abortion ban? And him saying yes. After Trump is like, he wants to be in charge of women's rights. Folks, he's going to do so good for health. He loves for health. He's a health guy.
He loves women and health. I mean,
he loves women. Yeah, because he wants to be Secretary of Pussy. Let's be honest. RFK Jr.
Secretary of,
fucked his way through his fucked his way through that campaign, and that's what every campaign he's been a part of, even the legal cases he's been a part of as a environmentalist, were at this point I'm convinced 100% for show, set up by the Kennedy family to try to protect the family's legacy against him as a philandering heroin user who was a prick who
was a terrible person and basically kept a list of the women he slept with that his wife found right before she committed suicide. I mean, he's an awful, awful fucking person, and you think about all that, you're just like, I'm not going to get into details here. But we know a couple people that used to do a show with him, and I even went on that show once or twice.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, a lot of people bought into it, let's just say.
Well, that was, again, there have been, and you see it a few times, and I think we've all become a little, gun shy in a healthy way. We're going to need to all check ourselves. Like, I don't think you would either want everybody to automatically assume everything you're saying is right and just take it as rote. And if they don't, you just get mad at them or whatever. And I think the purpose of doing stuff with good humor while you're doing it is giving people the space to go, hey, check my fucking work. I'm good with that. You're allowed.
You know
Whereas
what, Al? I'll say quickly, when I've done, and again, I did one last Wednesday, but I even when I do the Tuesday, Thursday, these regular live streams I'm doing now with a guest, afterwards, I end up doing a quick question, not even quick, half-hour question and answer. These 45-minute, 50-minute ones, I'm encouraging people to find stuff that I did wrong. I have apologized a number of times.
Sure.
I read so many things. I try to know what I'm talking about. I think I know most of what I'm talking about. But I get things wrong. I have a number of times. And the mark, again, of a real man, I would say a real woman too, but we're not having the argument over femininity. We're having the argument over masculinity with the Republican Party with their version of it. And the version of it, which is never saying you're sorry, is a weak, wussy-ass version of it. Because the strong thing to do is to say you're sorry when you fuck up. That takes
Lindsay in our chat is saying Ring of Fire. Yes, we're talking about Ring of Fire. And we're also talking about, there's a certain group of people, and you can tell that when you question them, they get ferocious about it, or they get offended, or they use my favorite word, outrageous. It's outrageous you would even say that, right? Like kind of shit like that. Yeah. And RFK Jr. is one of those guys, and he was when he was on Ring of Fire, and just like Anna Kasparian, just like Jimmy Dore was when he was on there, just like Dave Rubles was. Always been that fucking way, and it's because they're part of that Jill Stein group.
After that.
Dave Rubles.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sometimes there's a little delay, and I apologize to people. I don't mean to do it, but I mean the biggest one of all, who's somebody I makes me almost want to hurl, that I worked on a project or two with this person back in the day, is Glenn Greenwald, who the slightest questioning of Lord Greenwald or anything on Twitter, it could be like somebody with like an egg in the old days, and like 15 followers, and Glenn would go on a 4,000 word rant about how brilliant he is, and he's a best-selling author, and how they were nothing. And when you see somebody who's that authoritarian, because there's really no other way to put it, minded, they're going to end up either on some crazy far left authoritarian faction, or end up where the only real authoritarian faction in our country is right now, MAGA. So him, Taibbi, Dore, all of them ending up with MAGA is so unsurprising.
And there was just like the Tenet Media thing, there was a strategic choice to seed those kind of people into the pseudo mainstream left, which I would think is the independent media growth stream, which leads to talking points that end up on MSNBC, the same way Newsmax and RSBN and OAN and RAV bullshit ends up on Fox. The goal is to you see what kind of like crazy QAnon zeitgeist horseshit you can bounce up into the mainstream through these channels, right? And I do it all the time in tracking it on their side. But when I bring up our side a bunch, like what has sadly happened to democracy now, what is, and occasionally these talking points to get through, and certainly people who have effectively flipped, which is like Glenn Greenwald. I mean, I never liked Dershowitz, always found him to be scummy and gross, even though,
Most of these people are, by definition, pricks who can't admit they're wrong. Because again, don't think Putin isn't a genius.
They're authoritarian in their attitude. Why wouldn't they fall for Trump? Right.
They look at personality types, and they see the personality types on the left who based on ego, insecurity, the same kinds of things that they realize are flippable. And then that's who they go after. They've got psychographics on all sorts of people. Wouldn't be shocking if they had them on me and you, Hal. We've been out there enough. And they haven't come knocking.
I know they do.
I guess they
that's why we don't get invited to the party, man.
You could put $10 million in front of me, and I tell you, to give up my country and think that that's going to do something. And I say, go fuck yourself. I mean, sorry, no.
Well, it's always the thing, like, it's why, it's why I think I wasn't invited to those alleged Hollywood parties that are supposedly everywhere. I'm like, because if there's a cinder block nearby and any of the shit they say happens allegedly at those things was happening, I would use the cinder block, and then I'd be on trial for 3 years. So let me open this up real quick. I got to change the name of this. So let me tell you something. This is not the face you make at the mic when you're winning. In general, this is I don't know how. Let's see what the audio is like on this one.
See, they'll blame it on me. She just said they'll blame it on me. But you see, that's what I didn't want. I didn't want to be sworn in and then have these numbers come then. He said, I hope it comes before I go into office. Otherwise, I'll get blamed. I didn't want to be a certain president. But see.
He's talking about the economy and that he thinks there's going to be
I feel like we're his therapist.
Done.
The world is his therapist sometimes. Honestly, it doesn't help, but he needs to say these things because he feels so awful about himself.
Yeah, just aggrieved and lazy, and and he looks like shit. He's over it. I mean, okay, on the one hand, he's an old man working way too hard for way too little. Let's just be abundantly clear. Like, these are not. He thinks rallies are his only way of getting the audience together, and he's this is a sad example, but I once I did Paula Poundstone's. I went to a taping of Paula Poundstone's talk show. She had a pilot, and Cab Calloway performed, and he did Minnie the Moocher, and he was like 100-y at that point. He was so old, bless his heart. And he thought the show was live because he's so old, everything was live when he was,
Right.
And Cab Calloway was amazing, but he fell off his stool at one point at the piano. He slipped off the side of it, and they came and helped him up, and they were like, we'll start again from the top. And he had this panic look in his face like, oh my God, it's live. I have to keep playing. So he insisted and he did it 2 more times. He would slide over and then he'd fall off, and then they'd come and pick him back up, and he wouldn't stop playing. They ultimately, I don't think, could use the piece at all in the final version of it, because it was sad to watch. And he's what a wonderful artist.
We've all seen that before. Like, you remember when Ross Perot chose the Admiral? I can't remember his name anymore.
Yes.
To be his VP candidate, and he went on stage, and you actually had sympathy for the guy.
Yes.
Because he wasn't some right-wing nut. He was kind of moderate. He was doing what he thought he should be doing for his country, but he clearly
He'd also been injured.
Admiral Stockdale.
Stockdale had been injured. He had gotten hit with a rifle butt in his ear, and it destroyed his eardrum. So he's deaf, I think, either in the left or the right side, whatever. And he's standing on the stage during the VP debate on that side. And, oh, my God, CSL, you're related to Cab? That's amazing, because he was wonderful. He was a wonderful and sweet man, but it was very sad to watch because he was just ancient at that point. And the point I'm trying to make about Trump is that it's like that moment where Cab Calloway was falling off the stool and thought it was live and like, no, I have to finish because this is the only way I do what I do. Instead of going, no, we tape these things. You could do ads. There's a lot of ways you can save your strength and apply what you do have left energy wise in more efficient and more intelligent ways. And he's fucking incapable.
Right. I mean, a classic example is each of the, and I guess it's happened twice now. My guess is, again, it's always the lowest common denominator where they hire the cheapest people, right?
Yes.
Because that's all he does. So he's had 2 broken microphones. Kamala hasn't had that problem that I'm aware of. So, gee, maybe it's because of who he's...
God damn it, they're his microphones. They're his. They're owned. They're his. Okay, so I was talking about this with Johnny Million on Saturday because we're both, we tour as musicians. I tour as a comic too.
Who? I'm sorry?
My buddy Johnny Million, who's on my radio show, he's got 2 bands. He's got 2 bands he plays with, and I play with my band and have played over the years. But when you're touring as a singer or as a speaker, it's your fucking microphone. Campaigns have their own microphones, and they have a specific one when it's the president of the United States or a presidential candidate. That's their microphone, so that a bunch of people don't go up and all the speakers beforehand and give him fucking tuberculosis or whatever the fuck. So they swap it out. I'm dead serious. They swap it out at the last minute. They clean them off.
I like the disease that you used. It's a good one.
They bring their own fucking microphone. You're supposed to. Everything else, the speakers, the backline, the mixer, all that, you could get from the venue. You can have it local. Most of the time, you would roll in with that shit too, though, if you had any fucking brains. You're spending like $1 billion.
Shit that he has wherever he goes. He always gets just the lowest class, cheapest garbage. I mean, the point I wanted to make, though, the broader point was, if he was anything beyond a man in need of constant adulation because of that deep hole in his soul where his dad did not love him, then what you do when your microphone breaks down for 19 minutes like that first time is you go out to the crowd. You start slapping hands. You start patting backs. I mean, that's what Obama would do. You can see it right now. You know what I mean? Like, that's what Bill Clinton would do. Hell, that's what Kamala would do. Like, people that know how to, that can communicate.
That's exactly the Cab Calloway thing I'm saying. Like, he just has to, he thinks, oh, fuck, if I leave stage, they're going to lose interest. And that is not the feeling you have when you're a genuine narcissist and a real person who believes they're winning. That's a loser who knows they're losing going, oh, fuck, they see me.
Yep. So, that's what you can see it. I mean, you've seen it the complete sort of breakdown. Again, he's always been like just a gaudy, disgusting, crude individual And I'm somebody who makes lots of jokes that maybe are not on color. I mean, he just is so repulsive, though, as a grandfather, and he's up there giving a blowjob to a microphone and a hand job. I mean, so to me, it's even broken down worse for him with how bad he's always been. This last week or two has gone far beyond even that to where we're at a point now where he's at just rock bottom. Like there's nothing he won't do or say or, what I'm almost half expecting him to just start taking his clothes off, which I hope he doesn't, at one of these things. I mean, it's almost at this point, like, what's he going to do next? He's done almost everything else.
Check. Okay. Real quick. I don't think he wanted the job when he first got it. I sure shit think he doesn't want it now. And I think the idea that he's only running to stay out of jail is true. And I think if that works, it's the most ridiculous thing in the world, because the next time, if he can avoid prosecution because he's a candidate for office, the next time a cop pulls me over, I'm just going to tell him I've decided to run for sheriff. What the fuck?
Well, when do serial killers start running for office, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When does Timothy McVeigh or somebody start running? I mean, the media has to treat both sides equally. So
Bundy and Gacy were both political donors, Republican and Democrat. Because of the machine in the area, and it helped them hide for a while.
In this era, they could run.
Right. So here's...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to show you this. So this is yet another example from, I think it's the same rally. Yeah, it is. Next to him on the screen is a Trump bullet glass that is being sold by PatriotAddictDeals.com. And RSBN has a promo code on it, and it's a limited edition. Yeah.
Can I ask you something?
What?
Honestly, I think as somebody who does a lot of email fundraising on the left, but does it in a legitimate way, like, we should just go and buy like the Newsmax list, get some investors, and buy the list and just come up with all sorts of shitty products and name them Patriot whatever, and then we could become gazillionaires. They're like, this is Patriot toilet paper. It is great on your ass. It makes your ass great again. And like we just put it out there and like send it out on the list.
Patriot lube that shows up in an unmarked brown paper envelope. Like
I'm telling you, this is
your
a
neighbors
business
won't know
opportunity.
you're buying Patriot lube. It'll work.
I mean, we get some investors for some upfront money. You spend about $5 million, whatever. You buy some enormous list, and I'm telling you, just name it Patriot. It could be anything, right?
Yeah.
You could you'd be like, Patriot nipple piercings, Patriot whatever. Just
Patriot Party Tea. Here's what you do: you sell Patriot Party Tea, which is a hard seltzer Long Island iced tea in a can that tastes like shit, but has a certain amount, enough liquor that you could sell it over the, just enough liquor to sell it without ID, like a kombucha, and add your own hard liquor to it, and you sell it to these dipshits, for like $8 a shot glass full, and they'll do it. Tara Dublin is waiting in the wings.
Some ridiculous slogan that makes no sense, but like to them would sound good. You just be like, go ahead, try it. Put the Billy Bob and Hillbilly, and they'll be like, oh yeah, that sounds great, and then they'll just start buying the shit, right? Like I'm just telling you, this is. So I'm going to talk to you because. This
goes to the book idea, and it'll be a good transition to our next guest, Tara Dublin, who is waiting in the wings. And I want to remind everybody, Cliff Schechter has a show. He'll be on this afternoon at 2 o'clock Eastern at Cliff's Edge. It's Cliff's_Edge on YouTube. Check it out and watch it. He will ask, you can ask him all sorts of questions about how polling works and what poll jacking is. Because, like I said, last night, Rachel Maddow brought up the whole point that I've been making about poll jacking, which is artificial inflation of polls and fake polls in general.
I've been doing this for weeks, if not months, because there used to be only like 2 of them or 3 of them, Rasmussen, Trafalgar, whatever. There's now like a dozen of them. It's everything the right wing does to hijack everything, to hijack the media. They create a right wing propaganda outlet
that moves
the media to the right. I won't go through all that because Tara's here waiting. But point being, they're doing the same thing with polling, and I'm just saying to people, I won't be giving you boring answers on like what's the margin of error. I'm saying if you want to know what that Iowa poll means for other states,
yes,
like its movement means, and that kind of stuff, I'll explain to you what that means overall.
Love it.
And when we see a poll that we're only down 5 in Kansas, that I would have said in the past is absolute horseshit. But once you've seen the Ohio one and you've seen the Iowa one, down 5 in Kansas actually isn't far off from what could be true. So.
Right, especially with the Rovember aspect of that. So thanks again, Cliff. Appreciate you being on here, buddy. And I will see you. I don't know if you have a chance to come on during my 24-hour live stream if Andrea's reached out to you. But
you are one crazy mofo for doing it. But Andrea's reached out, and I'm figuring out because I'm doing a few shows. But I will be there. At some point, I shall join you.
If you wake up in the middle of the night in a panic, I will be awake doing my show, so it won't matter.
I will be in a panic. I'm going to be drinking and celebrating right away. So
I agree. All right. Cheers. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. See you next time. Yep. And give me 1 second, and then we go over here, and we grab Tara's thing, and we'll bring her in just a second. Whoops. Copy that link. There she goes. And ladies and gentlemen, if I may... Pop this in here, and ding. And it was so lovely, I have to say, to see this young lady. There she is in her sexy liberal Save the World tour. Yeah.
Why is the top of my head cut off?
I'm working on it. Give me a second, because your camera's different every time you come on the show, and so I have to make mild adjustments. Okay. It's all right. Everybody does that. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. And same thing on Instagram. I'll make you a little bit bigger, and then I'll move you over, and then you show up. There you go. And then you're kind of sitting on top of my head. There you go. Now, hi. First of all,
hi everybody. Long time. Hey friend. Long time no see.
Yeah, I know. It's so nice.
It's been like 36 hours or something. I don't
know. First of all, catch everybody up on your experience. She did our behind-the-scenes backstage live stream before a Sexy Liberals live stream on Saturday, and it was super fun. It was just great hanging out. Yeah.
We had a great time. We had such a great time, and again, I feel so lucky to be just a small part of this cavalcade of political genius. And so, you and I just kind of came up with the idea for a live pre-show kind of on the fly with you. And you were like, yes, great idea. And I pitched it to Ron, and Ron was like, oh my God, yes. And so we kind of threw it together pretty quickly, and it was super fun. And that I love to riff, and I'm good at improv. And I like to talk to people, and I'm good at talking about stuff that I'm interested in, which is this. We just kind of did it really guerrilla filming on the fly with a selfie stick and me. And we just went, and I just went all over the theater. I went through the green room. I did all the behind the scenes stuff. I interviewed the audience. I went into the bar. I went all over the place because it wasn't just about showing the people who were on the show, but the people who were at the show, because we have the best fans in the entire world. And the coolest people come to Sexy Liberal. Mm-hmm. And so the thing that was hilarious for me, because you guys have been at this for a really long time, and you've built your audiences and everything like that, and you're very recognizable, and rightly so. For me, I'm not really used to getting recognized. I don't walk around Portland and people are like, oh my God, it's Tara Dublin. But I was walking around that theater and everybody knew me. Yeah. Everybody knew me. Everyone was like, Tara Dublin rocks. Hey, Tara, I have your book. So many people had my book and asked me to autograph it. Somebody wanted to buy my book and have me autograph it. I have a hair stuck to my lip.
It's cat. It's cat thing. Get it?
It was cat thing. And I met so many great people while I was there. I met T-Rex, and I met Donna, and I met Karen from Chicago. And I met all of these great people. Too many to name, but literally all the mega fans that always come to the shows. What a delight. To get to interact with them in real life and hear how excited they were, not just to be there, but to get past this ridiculous time in our lives and move forward and turn the page and get going. And then the show, right before the show, I got to meet Mark Hamill just like you did. And that was so incredible. And what was really funny, I had been tweeting him to say I was going to meet him and I had presents for him. By the way, I made Sexy Liberal friendship bracelets for everybody. And you got one.
Yes.
Everybody got one. Mark had a special one that said sexy liberal Jedi. I made one for Adam Schiff that said sexy liberal senator. I made one for Glenn that said sexy liberal lawyer. I don't know what I'm going to do with the sexy liberal POTUS one I made for Martin Sheen. I don't know. Maybe I got to
we'll get it to him.
Give it to Kamala Harris someday.
Oh, we'll get it to him. Don't worry.
Yeah, for sure. But so it was just like being able to, and so I see Mark Hamill backstage, and everybody's just like, and everyone wants to meet him all at once, and I'm on the live stream.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna meet him. And then I meet him, and he asks me who I am, and I said I'm Tara, and he goes, "What's your last name?" And I was like, "Really? How many Taras do you follow back?" But then I said, "Who?" He was like, "Oh my God!" And he was so happy to meet me. And he hugged me. We got some great photos together, and I met his family. And I gave him his bracelet, but I also gave him a copy of this book, The Sound of Settling, that I autographed for him. And his wife was stuck carrying it all night long for him, and I felt so bad. Every time I saw her, I was like, "I'm so sorry. You have to schlep that around." She's like, "No, it's okay." And he brought his brother. Everything was lovely. And we got to meet Adam Schiff. And just everything about it was super fun. And to get to hang out with Frangela again is always a delight. And
great.
To see John. And, of course, Stephanie. And Stephanie getting to be fully in her element where she gets to say all the swear words and act as outlandish.
And rub her crotch on everybody. Mm-hmm. I mean, outlandish is a good word for it.
Yeah, no, all of it. But, like, getting to drop the C word, whatever she wants. And Adam Schiff dropping an F-bomb on the live stream. Like, all of it was just scorching hot. We also had Lee McGowan, politics girl. Super fun to meet her. Because I missed her at the DNC. And so it was just one of those nights where it was just magical. And everybody was energized and super excited. And everybody was, like, super ready to be done. And I think that's like the prevailing theme of the night was like, we are so fucking over everything.
Yes.
And your bit, the bit that you did where you came out and you just did like like you played music for not even 3 minutes and we were like, when does this end? And you were like, imagine doing that for 39 minutes.
Yeah.
Glorious. It's glorious. Every moment of that show.
So that was my, I was like, what's something, I always try to add a little production value to my show. And so I played guitar and of course, and then I also did the QAnon theme thing because it bothers me when Trump says we're a nation in decline. And so I was like, we are a nation in decline, declining interest rates, declining costs of insulin, declining, unemployment, all that stuff. So that was my finale on it. But I was like, how do I kind of encapsulate how absolutely insane things are right now? And so I was like, this is probably the most fucking Andy Kaufman thing I've ever done in my set. But I was like, I could do a show, but why bother? Let's just listen to some music. And so I played 2 minutes and 40 seconds. That's how long, and I cut these things down so that it would just be slices of them. And I played these little clips of, like the ones you're seeing that hodgepodge all of his shit where people have been slicing together Trump at these things. I made a few of them, and I wrote the lyrics in AI, and then I put them into an AI song generator, and then I changed different versions of them, and I was like, I put together the longest one I could put together that was just nearly intolerable. And for those that didn't see the live stream, I just stood there during the whole thing, and it was such a lesson as an artist and as a performer to try not to compensate. Don't the hardest thing in the world is not trying to automatically perform. And I was like, I let myself just do one word by leaning over and doing the little hand thing that he does when he kind of remembers one thing and the little hand waving shit that he did a couple of times. But it was 2 minutes and 40 seconds. That's how long the piece I put together was. And he was up there for 39 goddamn minutes, and my skin was crawling halfway through. That's why I ended with the last one was the Cats song, because I was like, at least that's high energy.
In the dogs. Oh, they in the back. What? They in the geese. What? They in the cats. Meow. Fistful of kitty litter, never been a quitter. Dog on a spit, tastes like chicken. It's finger licking geese, a piece of thigh. Uh-oh, how grease got in my eye. I tried, but don't know why. I can't stop eating the pet in the dogs. Oh.
Yeah, I wrote those lyrics.
Is that AI voices, or did you hire somebody to do that?
No, it's AI voices.
AI generate.
Yeah, so I wrote the lyrics. I wrote the lyrics for all of these, and then I put them in and I picked the style, and then I would go back and tweak the performance until I got it where I wanted it. Because I didn't want it to sound like just. I felt like, honestly, I was going to record these with my voice on a bunch of them, but I felt like it wouldn't be the joke. It would sound like I was just playing my song parodies. So I felt like they had to sound like other people's songs. And the one I really was the most proud of was Trump keeps playing these like Time to Say Goodbye and all these fucking Nothing Compares to You and November Rain. Like he has no idea what the like, and it's
Ave Maria.
Yeah, it's like
a fucking funeral song.
It's like an old movie where the captain of a ship is just sinking with the boat, right? And so
yes,
I wrote this one, and it's called Boo-hoo.
Everybody hates me.
Get those lighters up.
Nobody loves me. Somebody tell me who I can pretend to be. This sucks. I'm so lonely, lonely, lonely. I guess I'll just eat ice cream and watch Knots Landing. Why doesn't anyone?
So I put.
Why doesn't anybody love me? He doesn't even love himself.
And I whoops. We lost you for a second. Hold on. Oh, there you are. You're back. There you are. Okay.
Hey.
I have to say, like, Knots Landing. I put in Knots Landing because I was trying to think of an old shitty reference from the early '80s.
It's a good
for
one.
him.
That's a good
You know what I mean?
one.
Like
that is a really.
Yeah.
People who know, really, they're like, wow. Wow, yes.
Yeah.
All of it
Yeah.
is just mwah. Chef's kiss to you for every second of it. And now we can hopefully plan the one in DC. Because we need to do that one.
Oh my God.
Yes.
You know what it's going to be? It's going to be all like I'm going to come out to the People's Court theme. Burn bump. Like the whole thing's going to, instead of a rim shot, this is what I want to do. And I don't want to give it away, but I'm going to have a sample of the Law and Order clung clung. And that's going to be my rim shot on jokes. I'm just going to do like, I'm going to do like 30 one-liners about him going to jail, you know. Yeah.
Oh my God, like that. Mouth. We're all nauseously optimistic. That's something that was said also Saturday night. And nauseously, cautiously optimistic. And it feels like, you know, we have all of the momentum and we have all of the good people on our side, and it's good guys versus bad guys. And then the lunatic goes out and people are like, he's a genius. No, and the shit that he's saying today, like he's at some rally today where he's like, well, that's and women and the weave and the First Lady book. He said something about the First Lady book.
This is it. Yeah. So, this First Lady here.
And I said, First Lady. See, this is a little bit of a weave. You see those stars? First Lady.
Yeah, my brain is broken.
But you got to always bring it back. When it comes to a time when it doesn't meet at the bottom, then it's time to say, let's not do this shit anymore. We won't do this anymore. But
please don't do this shit anymore. That'd be great.
Jones.
Whatever happened with Van Jones.
The bullet glass. The bullet glass that they're selling next to his fucking face.
Yes.
The
nerve.
Come on now.
Jesus Christ.
Come on now.
Yeah.
And the black, I mean, he's basically in blackface at this point.
Oh my God. Like he is so fucking orange. It's hilarious. Like again, he looks like he slammed his face in Cheeto diarrhea. It's the weirdest.
Cheeto diet, like he took his diaper and instead of throwing it away, he went.
Yeah, right.
Threw it away.
I licked it clean,
just
Ma.
Disgusting. It's disgusting. And you know, one thing that happened when we were doing the pre-show, the MAGA kids showed up in that chat also, and they're like, Trump 2024, Trump 2024. Really? Still?
Yeah.
Really? You're still doing that? You're still stuck there, guys? Come on now.
Right.
This performance that we just showed you, you're proud of that? You're proud of that? You're proud of him being sentenced in 22 days? Are you proud of that? Are you proud of
hold on. Sorry, hold on. Let me do this. There you go. There we go.
Because that's happening. That's happening.
Check.
This is your guy?
This is him.
This
we opened up Space Command. We did the whole thing. If we didn't do that, we'd be way, way behind.
Space Command.
Get on a rocket to Mars today. Why don't he and Leon just get on a SpaceX rocket today? No one will miss them.
We started Space Command.
Go see if you can live on the surface of Mars without a helmet. Go ahead.
This motherfucker thinks he's Buzz Lightyear now.
You know, we opened up Space Command. We did the whole thing. If we didn't do that, we'd be way, way behind.
Okay. John F. Kennedy has just entered the chat to tell you to get bent.
Right.
I don't think you did anything to help the space program, fuckface. Pretty sure you didn't do anything to help anybody.
Nothing.
In your entire administration.
He just fucking militarized it.
Enrich yourself.
Right, and it already existed. They just gave it a name. Like everybody had a title. It already existed. So like space, like it was a division of the Air Force. Right. It's just they broke it off as a division of the Space Force to give it another budgetary line. That's it. To bring it out in the open.
Oh my God!
It's so fucking stupid.
Space Force. Space Force sounds like a Hanna-Barbera cartoon from 1964, and everything's like super futuristic. But also anachronistic at the same time.
Don't know why they called it Space Force.
That's what
Yeah, it's just, hold on. Spock, I can't believe it. They actually called it Space Force. There's no, I understand, there's no force in space. That's right, there's no gravity, therefore no force. I get it, Spock, they're morons. Beam me up. It's
human intelligence continues to elude me.
Right.
Live long and prosper, kids. I'm a Star Wars person, but live long and prosper.
There's not even any woman down here that are green. Get me out of here. There's a Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she's not sexy at all. It's amazing. I don't know how they managed to do it. Beam me up. Oh, by the way, he's going to put a tariff. Hold on. He's going to put a 25% tariff on Mexico now. That's the other thing.
Oh,
so
great.
that's this.
That's great.
I'm going to inform her on day one or sooner that if they don't stop this onslaught of criminals and drugs coming into our country, I'm going to immediately impose a 25% tariff on everything they send in to the United States of America.
Again.
And the reason I delayed that, you're the first ones I've told it to. Congratulations.
Yeah, because he just made it up. Like, again.
He just made it up because he doesn't fucking understand how tariffs
How anything works.
And neither does his base. They're like, yes, please increase our tax burden. We love that. Please make us have to pay more every year. His tariffs would cost the average American family between $4,000 and $6,000 additional dollars a year. Thanks so much. That's what we want. We want to be broker and less free. That's what we want as a country. Fuck you. Like, why don't people understand that that's bad? It's just like it's one of those things that makes you want to pull the skin off of your face because they don't understand what it means.
There's obviously a big problem with Trump being able to comprehend relatively complex issues. He's always had an issue with it. But also, like, he extrapolates his ignorance about a particular area, tariffs or whatever. Somebody will tell him something. We had so much money coming in 1895 because of tariffs and what have you. Then he'll go, well, why don't we just use that? Blah. And he'll just, you know what I mean? He'll think it works everywhere. It's like one of these, he's like one of those assholes that would like drink, he would squeeze Neosporin into his mouth for a sore throat. You know what I mean? Like, I got a canker sore.
The ivermectin guy, so.
Right. Yeah, that's, like, if it can clean a fish tank, it can clean your lungs, right?
Woo, and it can also send you right to the coffin. It'll end your coughing in your coffin. Yes, thank you so much. I'm quick like that.
Oh my God.
I will never understand. I don't understand this late in the game. And we were talking about this Saturday night as well, like how anybody still at this point for any reason still supports him. I don't know if you caught it, but John Mitnick, who is a former White House counsel, Republican White House counsel, wrote an incredibly important thread about why Donald Trump is a threat to the country, begging conservatives to turn their backs and vote for Kamala Harris. When you have more Republicans endorsing the Democratic nominee than the Republican nominee, maybe you should pay attention. Maybe you should find out why they're doing that. Maybe instead of being a dipshit, right before I came on with you, there was some woman who tweeted something about, pro-Trump. And I was like, why do you want a rapist felon controlling your body? I haven't seen her response yet because I'm here.
Because she's a bot and she doesn't have a body. I mean, let's be honest.
No,
it's fucking Twitter.
No, I know, but I only respond to people who have like a huge following. I don't respond to the ones that have 300 followers and was created in July 2024. Like I know a fake account when I see one. Okay. I've been there. I could teach a class. But when I know it's somebody real and they have a huge following and that's a lot of dipshittery going out there unchecked, I'm just like, why? Why do you want a convicted felon, adjudicated rapist controlling your body for the rest of your life?
Right.
It's a valid question. I won't get an answer. What I usually get in a response is, why do you want everyone in Gaza to die? Which is not the answer to the question I'm asking you, and I'm moving the goalposts to a place
I don't.
They don't belong.
Because a vote for Donald Trump or a vote like Harris wants a two-state solution. Donald Trump wants Gaza turned into a fucking parking lot. He's called Palestinians a cancer and the problem and says you got to get it over with. And you don't, in any situation where there's civilians around, getting it over with is not how you wipe out an enemy force without killing civilians. Get it over with. Any Jill Stein fucking voter is voting for that. And don't get me wrong, there are Muslims in this world that hate other Muslims in this world. Sunni and Shia is very well known, and there are a bunch of people in Michigan and other places who are Muslim voters who we, in our finite wisdom, often will group together because they are often vilified together. So on the Democratic side of things, Trump will vilify Muslims or he'll vilify Arab Americans. And so we lump them all together and to protect them as a minority of Americans. And we do the same thing with Hispanics and Latinos in the country. And they're not a monolithic voter bloc, but when they're attacked because of their ethnicity, we as Democrats come to their defense as an ethnicity, that they should be allowed to speak their piece even if we fucking disagree, right? The difference is that the Jill Stein, the pro-Jill Stein or the pro-Trump Muslims that are here, while they're in the group he is vilified, are also safe in here. Most of them have all the money they're going to need. And they want the Palestinians fucking gone so the Saudis can build their line city and not have to worry about ISIS and Al-Qaeda fucking up the new business model. That's what it's about. They all want to go back to the Middle East and have, real estate and that kind of shit. And so the Palestinians have got to fucking go. And so that's why they back Trump, because he backs Netanyahu, not Israel. Netanyahu killing all these fucking people.
Exactly. And
just
if you were
dumb.
paying attention, while you were getting distracted, Kamala Harris had a rally yesterday in Michigan where she promised the Arab American and Muslim American community that she would do everything in her power to end the war in Gaza. And that, to me, there's a subtext there that she can't quite say yet. But the point is, Kamala Harris is much more progressive than Joe Biden. And she always has been. But her powers are limited as vice president. She doesn't have the same kind of executive power. She cannot end arms, aid to Israel unilaterally. She can't do it. As president, though, she can make decisions. She can make decisions to stop giving aid to Israel. She can make the decision to stop sending them arms if she wants. And that's what she's being asked to do by a lot of people. And that's something she's seriously considering. And I would ask everybody to once again tune into Last Week Tonight from last night, because John Oliver makes that case, which is one party is going to listen and do something where the other party is not going to listen and would rather carpet bomb the entire region.
Yes.
So, yes, the Democrats understand that you're angry and upset, and everybody wants a solution that isn't easy, because if the solution was easy, we would have done it already. So, one party will absolutely stand still and listen to your anger. One party will hear you out and try to help you find a solution together. The other party doesn't give a fucking shit what you think. They don't care, and they never will. So here's what I saw last night, and the messaging that I'm seeing to Muslim Americans, Arab Americans, Israeli Americans, Palestinian Americans, all Americans, is you are absolutely allowed to be angry about this. And I encourage that. And I encourage you to speak freely. And so do the Democrats. Because Donald Trump calls you the enemy from within, calls me the enemy from within. Kamala Harris won't call you the enemy from within just because you disagree with her. She doesn't care if you disagree. What she cares about is you making your voice heard so that she can hear you, so you can have a discussion about it. And I will make this promise to everybody who can see us and hear us right now. I am asking you to make this your second most important issue. Your first most important issue is women. Vote for women. We don't have a country without women. We don't have a future without women. And that needs to be your number one issue. And then when they're elected, your number two issue then comes back to your number one issue, and I will help you hold this administration accountable. If they're
going to do it themselves. Here's the thing.
We're all going to do it.
The other thing, too, is, okay, I've always had this issue with the phrase hold their feet to the fire, because our side is the only one that uses it. It's a torture metaphor specifically used against both Muslims and blacks during horrible periods in history. And by the way, the Irish by the English and the Scottish by the English, they burn your feet. They would burn the soles of your feet. That's hold your feet to the fire to make you not be a heretic anymore. So the fucking analogy itself is grotesque. But on top of that, we don't have to hold Kamala's feet to the fire. We need to give her the support in the House and the Senate to carry out the stuff she actually cares enough to do. The same thing with Biden. Biden would have had a lot more power to do a lot greater stuff. The same thing with Obama. It's people spent all this fucking Cornel West, Jesus Christ, talking about holding Obama's feet to the fucking fire while driving away people from the polls during the midterms so they didn't have the House and the Senate when they needed it most to shore up the ACA and get rid of the blue dogs, or at least give them the voting support where the blue dogs can go, okay, yeah, we can add a public option to the ACA without losing our fucking job and handing the Senate to the fucking Republicans, which is way worse than having a lesser ACA is having no ACA at all. But then you have the fucking Susan Sarandon, Jill Stein, Shia/Sunni, depending on who's fighting who, Muslim bloc in Dearborn, voting against progress because they want it to crash, because they have this idea that I'll be safe in my fucking tower while the burning happens. What makes them any different than Elon Musk saying we're going to have a problem, we're going to have to wreck the economy, but when it gets, and the middle class will be decimated, but when it rights itself eventually they'll be okay. And he can do that because he's got a fucking bed of $90 billion in cash to hide away in another country while the fucking civil war goes on, watching the purge, eating popcorn. Fuck that dude, and fuck those people. These are real life consequences.
We're not doing that. Now, it's just,
other than that, I have no opinion.
It gets to a point where, no, but I mean, I feel like some of it, I feel like is really performative, and maybe a lot of these people don't even believe it. It was like Lee was saying, Politics Girl was saying Saturday night when she was on the panel. She goes on CNN, and there are Trump surrogates on the panel with her, and then when they go to commercial break, they act like they're just fucking goofing, that they don't really believe it, that they're just doing it because they're being paid to do it, for the sake of doing it, for getting on camera to do it, and they don't really believe it, which is incredibly fucking frustrating.
Right.
Because right now, the truth matters more than ever, and you and I are in the business of telling our audiences the truth. We have nothing to gain by lying. Absolutely nothing to gain by lying. And it's really frustrating when we're being so overly suppressed on Twitter. I can't wait for Elon to finally be arrested for election interference. That'll be the thing that takes him down. It's vote. You cannot pay people $1 million to vote for your candidate and not get in trouble. So he's being investigated first in Pennsylvania. I'm sure that'll keep spreading, but you can't do that. And the election interference, he just keeps doing it every single day, all day long. And then yesterday, he was on a real anti-Semitic tear. That was fine. Every time he tweets the name George Soros, we should be allowed to punch him in the throat.
Easy.
It's just really frustrating. Yeah. And please, MAGA people in the chat, I don't know about anybody else, but this Jew has never gotten a single penny from George Soros, because I don't need to be paid to do the right thing to keep my country running. So, it's just fucking frustrating. And the enjoying being bullies, it's over. Stop it. That's not what this is about anymore. This is literally about your future, your daughters being raped and used as birthing vessels to make an obedient army of white children to serve dear leader. I'm a dead person. Lee's a dead person. Stephanie Miller's a dead person. In a Project 2025 America, they're going to go after the media. They're going to go after their perceived enemies. None of this is cool. None of this is funny.
Right.
And you want maybe the MAGA people in the chat think it's a joke because they know in the back of their minds that it's actually not going to happen. But the fact that they're okay with the idea. They're just okay with the idea of women being controlled.
Well, everybody should be afraid of it. They think Trump's talk like this, and this is why they're okay with it. They think his talk like this is the same thing of him wagging nukes at other countries like North Korea or Russia, and his bravado about don't do it, Abdul, don't do it. And when in reality is he doesn't carry that shit out. If he says it as president, people will act on it. It's one of the reasons why, remember all that shit when he would start tweeting policy and about transgender people and other stuff like that, and they're like, oh, fuck, it's policy now. God damn it. And the administrative, the executive branch of the United States government has the ability to take all the non-specific funds from any funding and specify it. If there's not enough to cover the entirety of whatever they're covering, be it immigration or whatever else, clean water, clean air, whatever, they can prioritize stuff. They go, okay, we're going to do this first, this second, and that's the executive part of it. How we execute the purse strings and the payments that come out of it are the executive branch. And what he can do in that situation is military. Okay, we can view the enemy of Chinese spies as a problem, or internal threats as a problem. This is why, by the way, Republicans freaked out when the FBI director came out and said the biggest threat is white supremacy in the United States, like white supremacy, domestic violence, domestic terrorism. Our biggest internal threat, and they were very specific, not threat overall, but internal threat was white supremacist domestic violence. By the way, the top three are neck and fucking neck. One is white supremacist domestic violence. The other is internal Islamic terrorism. And the third one is black supremacists, the fucking Moors, the black Hebrew Israelites, those fuckers. They're all very close, but the white supremacists, just by volume of human beings, they run away with it. And they remember how they freaked out. They're like, they're going to target us. Well, that's because the executive branch has the ability to do that. They have the ability to go, all right, white supremacy is the biggest threat. Let's start looking at any white person who makes any kind of comment on Facebook first and start dovetailing down from there. That's what they're afraid of, because that's what, and they know that's what they would fucking do. If Trump gets in there, what he's going to do is go, we got to get rid of the enemies from within first. And they're going to act on it. And if they kill somebody, they're going to put it under the fucking table and they're going to go, he ordered it and he's got immunity. That's that. And so
public executions. It's going to be, it's like they're following the blueprint of The Handmaid's Tale to the letter. Seriously.
It's gross.
And it's really, really upsetting. And what's really funny is Margaret Atwood tweeted a Handmaid's Tale meme the other day, like the handmaids go in and then they come out of the voting booth dressed like regular women because they've been able to shed their red dresses. Mm-hmm. And some dude responds to Margaret Atwood, not knowing who she is, and says, the author actually was commenting on the Muslim da-da-da-da-blah-blah. Like, fuck you. How can you possibly think that you can get away with mansplaining the Handmaid's Tale to Margaret Atwood? That's where we are. That's where we are now. So, hey, look, it's Duke. So anyway, what I will once again reiterate to everybody who is voting, who, if you have not already voted, please don't throw your vote away. Right. Please don't make it into a joke. This is our lives. It is our future. And again, MAGA people in the chat, think about your mom, your aunt, your sister, your cousin, your friends who have children, your friends who have daughters. If you might actually be married and have a daughter yourself, I don't know your lives, but what I do know is that there is a woman somewhere in your life because you came out of one. And so you should be protecting women. Everybody should be protecting women. And it really should be more about who is going to take care of this country or who is going to just take care of themselves. And that's what Donald Trump's entire existence is about, preserving himself and keeping himself out of jail. That's what his whole life is. And
I agree. That's the funny part, because I don't think he wants this. And by the way, you know how one of the other reasons we can tell that he doesn't want this is I have to show you this. This is how we know he's not really trying. He picked this dum-dum as his vice president.
The six-pack under the leadership of Kamala Harris. This is a six-pack under the leadership of Donald J. Trump. Let's make America great
What
again.
the fuck is this?
That's his. It's an inflation joke. It's weird.
Okay.
Get it?
So
Get it?
I get it. There's just gonna be more shit. If you get Trump. By the way,
the thing is, like, what are we gonna? Yeah. So is everyone gonna be drunk as fuck?
I mean, we'll all be drinking Drano, not beer.
Right.
But the facts are the facts, and I'm sorry if you don't like math and facts, but the facts are this. When Donald Trump left office, inflation was at 6.7%. Today, it's at 2.4%. Donald Trump lost, was it like something like 2.4 million jobs? And Joe Biden has grown jobs every single month he has been in office. Unemployment is at an all-time low. Gas prices are dropping. Food prices are still too high, but that's not the president's fault. That's corporations who are just price gouging. And what we got? What's that?
Numerous poll.
Well, there's the Ann Selzer poll. That's the one. That's the one you really should be looking at. The Ann Selzer poll.
That's the Iowa.
She doesn't fuck around, and they are scared. They're mad about the Ann Selzer poll.
This is national. This is the Marist National among likely voters. October 31st to November 2nd. This is our last one.
47. Yeah. It's still way too high, but I'll take it.
But this is outside the it's a point outside the margin of error for them, which means she's up minimum 1 anyways. And this is a potential 7-point swing. That's what Cliff was talking about earlier because, for her. Because it's turnout now. Well, now it's about turnout.
Yes, 100%. And if you look at the history of the Ann Selzer poll, she has Kamala up by 3 in Iowa. In 2020, she was the only one who said that Trump would win Iowa. She predicted by 7, and he actually won by 8. And everyone else was like, you're crazy. And she's like, I'm Ann Selzer and don't fuck with me. So what she does is she sets aside opinion and cult of personality and bullshit, and all she does is focus on the data. And the data puts Kamala Harris ahead in Iowa by 3 points. And if everyone could just and again, that doesn't mean you don't go out and vote, Iowans. That doesn't mean we don't go out and vote in every state. That doesn't mean we ever get complicit because 2016 taught us that. But it is encouraging to believe, nauseously, optimistically believe, Kamala Harris could carry Iowa, as well as red states we're not even talking about.
Right.
So there's, and so as they
Texas,
the Harris-Walz campaign, we have a really good chance in Texas. Florida's looking good. Georgia's looking good. North Carolina. I mean, I would love to believe Ohio is in play after what J.D. Vance did to his own fucking state, and Donald Trump certainly helped. So, it's those things that you want to believe that people are just going to vote for their own best interests for once. That'd be great, wouldn't it? It'd be super. Remember, Democrats deliver what Republicans remove. And there's that great Time magazine cover that was circulating where Joe Biden has that huge mess in the Oval Office to clean up.
Yes.
And we also need to remember, here's the other thing that no one's actually talking about, aside from the fact that he's being sentenced. We're really not talking enough about his administration and how many awful things happened. And Rachel Maddow reminding everybody about I found an old tweet from 2018. Rachel Maddow reminding everybody about the separating the families. And she's like crying on camera.
Yeah.
From 2018. And we have completely forgotten about the families that were separated and the children who still have not been reunited with their parents 7 years later. So 7 years later. That's something to remember. The cruelty is the point. How much they enjoyed hurting immigrant families. Stephen Miller removing nursing babies from their mother's breasts. Why? Maybe so he could eat them because a recently nursed baby is the sweetest. I don't know.
According to Roseanne.
Is that they've... Right? So, Stephen Miller... we do not claim Stephen Miller in the tribe. He is a Nazi capo. Nosferatu, Capo Nosferatu is what I call him. He can just wheel his sarcophagus into the same cell with Donald Trump and Elon Musk. I'd be totally happy with that.
Yeah, I think.
So, again,
I think when they ask a question of Stephen Miller, he arrives like this.
Yes. Monster says we will have monster.
Be careful how you cut yourself. Be careful how you cut
Excuse me, I have
yourself.
to clear some newborn out of my fangs.
So this is and again in the final days, we will watch later on my afternoon show. I'm going to do a lot more programming today, but I'm going to be on for 24 hours straight, noon to noon, starting tomorrow. A little bit early, actually. I'm going to come on, I think, at 11:30 so that Steph can jump on. But this is yes, and we will be going back and forth looking at the final arguments from both of these sides. But let me tell you something. Let's take a look at this gentleman. Not only is he slathered with whatever the fuck mixture of. It's like he was at the testing counter at Sephora and just made the biggest mistake of his life. Yeah. No darker, too dark.
Yeah.
Okay. So this
Don't
is.
forget to contour.
Yeah. This is all contour.
Man.
Listen to this.
So I just give you a little bit of a thing. And by the way, the press will say, "Oh, he rambled." No, that's not rambling. You know what that is? That was genius. That's the weave. No, see, I wove. Frankly, the rest of it I don't really even have to talk about. But that was the ultimate weave, and.
Like the ultimate wave. He has no idea.
The weave is on his head. That's the ultimate weave.
No, he's gonna have his weave snatched.
Nets of weevils on his head.
Right. I gotta say, it's amazing to me that he just gets continually worse by the hour. And
again, like, how does anyone look at that and go, "That's my guy"? Look at him. He's so spry and ready to go. No, he isn't. He has one foot in the grave and the other foot in jail. So.
Yeah, I gotta say, he that's the thing. He knows. This is what we're seeing. He is finally somebody like he. Usually what they do is they show him a good poll right before he walks on stage. They'll bring up the Rasmussen and show it to him. But on the plane ride, they've got to talk strategy. We got to go for women here. We got to act like a real campaign. And apparently word is it's become completely fucking morose on the plane, and that's because that's where they're clearly giving him the real numbers, where they got to, we got to go defend this, you got to go to Virginia, we're going to have to maybe even show up in Iowa and do a rally tomorrow, where, man, if they end up doing a fucking rally in Iowa as a fucking head fake, it'll be glorious. But they're having these conversations, and now they're having so many fucking conversations about bad numbers that the good number they show him right before he walks on stage is not having any effect.
No, because it's not that good.
Right.
And his whole campaign staff is Project 2025. So they're going to be fine. They'll have a job with the Heritage Foundation when Donald Trump doesn't win.
Yeah.
If they don't go to prison for him. Because they're all committing treason in one way or another, and they're all committing election fraud in one way or another, all probably doing hinky shit that we don't know about that should put them in prison. There's, and didn't you say that he was on the verge of firing Chris, what the fuck, Chris Lasavita or whatever his name is?
Yeah, well,
you that said that?
Yes, they've been fighting a bunch, and partly it's because of. And again, everybody thinks it's because of how much money Chris Lasivita is being paid and what he's paying out and to these secondary organizations. I don't think that it's that at all. I think it's quite frankly just that he's losing, because I think all that money that he's paying out he's not mad at Lasivita for the lack of returns on the financial stuff, because that's going right into the Trump organization. What they're doing is they're bouncing money through the RNC, through Lara, back to them for event space money and their secondary event company that he's using or whatever. Lasivita is in charge of funneling campaign donor cash to Trump's personal bank account. And so they're fine with that, but he's been shaving off too much of it for himself. That's the argument. That's where they're apparently getting pissed.
That sounds right to me. Grifting the grifter sounds good. I'm fine. I mean, they all belong in prison, and that they have the latest thing, the thing that where Trump said he would be okay with people shooting through the media. Yeah. So they couldn't get to him, and Odd Job Stephen Chung was like, well, the media was fine with that. They praised him for being so brave. It's like, what? No, they didn't. The media doesn't want to be shot. Odd job. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Right.
Like, and the corporate media doesn't report on it. The corporate media is not reporting on the new 100 hours of Epstein tapes that revealed that they were still friends when Trump was in the White House, despite claiming to the world that they had a huge falling out. And Epstein is on tape talking about Steve Bannon and the inner workings of the Trump White House. And that's why Bill Barr made a little visit to prison. And that's why he was suicided, because he threatened Trump through Barr. Epstein didn't think he belonged in prison. Epstein thought he belonged on Trump's cabinet, because they were buddies still.
I gotta say,
none of this is getting out there.
So James Johnson, who plays Trump on the White House, you know, like on SNL right now, I love his version of Trump because of basically it's where the weave came from, is this idea that Johnson decided to focus on the fact that Trump will throw in like pop culture references or shit from TV, like he would later do with Hannibal Lecter and stuff. Johnson was doing this way before Trump became overt in it lately. But he'll just throw in shit he doesn't understand, like just random, like what K-pop, they call it K-pop, you know. I like pop as much as they can. Out of the Midwest, they call it K-soda, something like that. You know, like he'll point out the fact that Trump will try to ingratiate himself with a group and then have a fallout essentially, because he doesn't actually connect. He can't connect. He's incapable of doing it. And I wanted to see if I can cue it up, but there was sorry, here it is. This is him this Saturday. Everybody's getting a lot of attention for the Maya, Kamala, mirror skit, which is fine. But there's a part of this where he goes,
I don't want to be here with you people. Come on. I'm out of gas. I'm running on fumes here, folks. You can see it, right? The cracks are showing.
Right. Like that part of it was like the fact that that's making it into the comedy around Trump, where it's such an obvious joke you can throw it in. It's telling. I mean, it's very telling going into this. And that, the Kamala, we're gonna, let me, keep Kamala and Kamala, that stuff, right?
That's right.
All that
That's
stuff.
right.
That's the joke that bubbles to the top, because SNL can't fuck around with getting you there. One of the reasons why they're a little nail on the head is because they have to, because it's live. They got to get to it right away. They can't build to a joke. They don't have 20 minutes like I do in a set to set something up and then eventually get there. You got to nail it right out of the gate. And if they don't, it's very telling. And so that's why I think James Johnson has been such a fucking great. He and Baldwin were such great Trumps, because they just get right at the heart of it, even if it's not about what actually happened. He does direct quotes like they did with Palin. But man, his whole I'm done.
I'm so tired. I don't even like him.
I don't even like this anymore. Which is exactly where Trump is. Yeah. Yeah,
for sure. Absolutely for sure. And the other thing that's hilarious, the fallout from Saturday Night Live, that opening sketch with them doing the mirror, everyone's like, oh, Jimmy Fallon did that with Donald Trump. And Mick Jagger, and it's been a recurring sketch over the years. They have used that more than once. So what they don't, and they're not smart enough to get the distinction that it's a parody of a parody of a parody, because they don't get it.
And it's a running gag with different people, right?
Oh, for years, and but see. We knew that they were going to get shithouse crazy in these last days, because they were freaking out and they're on the sinking ship and they're desperate and they're grasping at straws, and like their flotation device isn't holding them up anymore. And they're like, but Trump did it first. No, so she did it better.
No, and also, no, he did not. He did not do it first. The
Mick Jagger one was before that.
Yes.
So, it's an old thing, but it works. It was really effective. And the thing that came across the most was how joyful Kamala Harris is. She was beaming, she was glowing, and her delivery
and enjoying
was
herself.
Spot on.
Right.
She's a natural actor. And
She's comfortable in her own skin. She's and she's comfortable being uncomfortable, which is, I think, the bigger part of it. Like, you can tell she's doing one of these things, and in some ways, the way like Obama's great at it, and to some degree, Biden's actually really good at it. Is going, I'm not a performer, but I'm pretty good for somebody who's not a performer. And so, on fucking Parks and Rec, that's why Biden was great.
Oh, he was so good.
Right.
Well, and a lot of it was her being like, "I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow." And he was like, "Oh, okay." Like how much Leslie Knope loved Joe Biden. I loved that character trait of hers. But the other thing that's happening is the MAGA people are freaking out. And did you know that the FCC commissioner is a MAGA, and he's really mad, and he was saying that they broke the fairness doctrine when it comes to showing candidates on TV, and that NBC is going to get fined, and it's like, no, I don't think that does no, and I'd love to know where Jessica Rosenworcel is, because she is the director of the FCC, and she is above him, and she should fucking fire him, because the FCC needs to remain completely apolitical.
Right.
It really does. I mean, it's not.
Well, and also, politics, if they've got to go after somebody for breaking,
it doesn't go out there.
First of all, what fairness doctrine? Secondly, the show didn't endorse her. The actor dressed as her endorsed her as her. So, like, there's no fucking way this gets anywhere near a court or a fine or anything. Like, I'm voting for us. It doesn't fucking matter. Even if you read it as such, it still it was a perfect phone call. I said exactly what I needed to say, but stayed in the legal barriers. That's it, boundaries. That's what they did. Here's how we know we're winning. And we'll end on this bit. And I want to remind everybody, Tara Dublin does indeed rock. Go to taradublinrocks.com. She'll be on with me at one point for the all-night live stream on Election Day, where I will happily guide you guys through, just like I did in 2020, to the promised land where we win.
Oh, I will join hands and enter it together.
Yep. Here's how you know the news is going around that the loss is coming. Do you want to see? This is there's certain people that are grinding on this shit that I'm just so happy. Watch this.
You know what?
Stalker.
Shame on women for voting in Biden. Let's talk about that for a second, because women's voting records has been, shall we say, spotty. They voted a guy in office.
By the way, look at her laughing it off. They're going to cut to Judge Jeanine in a second, right after her, because they're the two women on the panel. Now, she's trying to pretend she likes it, but you look at Jesse Waters, he's fucking pissed. Why? Because he's seen the Fox internal polls. He's seen the ones they show the public, and they've decided to release, and he's seen the ones that they've gone, yeah, we're not airing that one.
Who was addicted to spending and kept leaving.
Look at Judge Jeanine. She wants to be on his side, and she's got that look on her face. She knows he's not fucking around. He really doesn't like women.
The gate open. It's almost like he became a woman once women gave him power. So I did this after the coronavirus. You know women.
Look at him. Look at this motherfucker. Like, this isn't a joke. Smarty. This is not him. This is not. It's so gross. It is so fucking gross. And why is he so mad and gross at the same time? Why is he cut off all semblance of being able to be, to joke about it at all? Why is he this fucking morose and angry and bitter about it?
Why did he
Because he knows.
And let the air out of her tires and threaten her if she didn't get in the car?
Yep. This is what Jesse Waters
with spending and forgetting to close the door. I demanded an apology from China after the coronavirus went wild. I am demanding an apology from women.
Good for you.
For putting Joe Biden in office. Because look at
Greg. First of all, I don't know when he turned into an old Jewish guy at a bench in Central Park feeding pigeons.
Yeah,
what the hell happened?
He's fully broken.
He's fully collapsed. I don't know. This is so weird.
No spine.
Yeah. Get away from me. That's my hot dog bun. Stop it.
Go away.
Stop it. Get away from there. You rat.
I voted for.
That's for the pigeons, you rat. That's a little bit of Billy Crystal there for you, ladies and gentlemen.
Billy, pass me some of that hook over there. Yeah.
But the schmeckel bahib. Yeah, I have the flagon to blade, which we all needs to bluff, means to bluff. Right?
Liar! Liar!
Look,
Anyway,
but he's like shrinking. He's fucking shrinking around this
we have
awful.
to clean up now. This is probably the worst president in 100 years, and I'm looking at you, Harold, while he's checking the score of the Lions game. Record inflation, record migration, record crime. Thanks a lot, ladies.
Wrong.
Did you see that? Thanks a lot, ladies. First of all, none of that is true, and the parts of it that did exist happened because of fucking COVID and the recovery from COVID. We didn't have record fucking spending. We tried to patch a $20 trillion hole in the economy with $9 trillion. You dumb motherfucker! It's why the dollar's worth more than a dollar. There is no such thing. Yeah.
Oh my God! The Economist has endorsed Kamala Harris for her economic plan. It's ridiculous. Donald Trump doesn't have an economic plan. They have no plans except to bankrupt the country and line their own pockets. Her plan is going to enrich the middle class. His is going to bankrupt Social Security within 6 years. Like, there's no equivalence here. And if you care at all about this economy, top economists, Nobel Prize winning economists have predicted that under his economy, his plan will kill the American economy. We'll have something that's a recession mixed with a depression, like the country's never seen before. If Donald Trump is back in office,
the dollar's worth $1.03. These motherfuckers.
Come on, guys.
In what world do you, if you have too much of something laying around, is it worth more than what it was initially worth? In what fucking world? It's the dumbest.
We have the best economy
shit
on the planet, and we have lifted up other economies without us.
That's right.
Donald Trump can't say that. No Republican can say that. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris can say that. And if you are a person who is voting based on the economy, maybe you should listen to the Nobel Prize winning economists who have chosen Kamala Harris, and not the fuckface who wants to take away everything that's good about America and put it in his fucking bank account. Okay?
Right.
He is running to stay out of prison. He does not care about America. And the other thing that should scare the shit out of everyone is the potential of a President J.D. Vance. Because I will tell you right now, they are going to 25th Amendment Donald Trump if they can. Right?
Yes.
They will get rid of him as soon as they can because he is the figurehead. He's not going to do anything. He's not going to perform. J.D. Vance will, though. He'll tap dance for Peter PayPal all day long. So remember that if you haven't voted already. Please vote for women. Please vote for the future of this country. Maybe vote for your own future. Do you like having the idea of maybe Social Security waiting for you? At the end of your life, you are working to pay into Social Security. Why would you want the government to have your money? Why would you want them to have your retirement, your security? Why do you want Donald Trump to have anything of yours?
Right.
It's ridiculous.
It's nuts.
Don't vote against your own best interest because you think it's funny to be a bully. Nothing is funny about this. This is our actual real life.
Dude,
and I don't think people are aware of how good they have had it under the Biden administration. And they won't until they have maybe a decade of Monday morning quarterbacking and then finally look back and go, wow. Look at where we are now compared to where we were. And thank you, Kamala Harris. So, again, friends, I want you to vote for the economy, for women, for yourselves, for the future, for the girls in your life that you love. And, again, if you're mad about stuff that the Biden administration did or did not do, guess what? You can hold the Harris-Walz administration accountable and we'll all help you. That's what we're here for. Democrats will listen to you. They want to hear what you have to say. Pete Buttigieg just sat down and did a roundtable with undecided voters in Michigan. And Go look at that. Go Google that and listen to Pete Buttigieg talking absolute complete truth. Because all it is there's so much disinformation and misinformation out there, and it's very hard to trust. I understand that. Don't listen to Donald Trump. Please go to the White House website, whitehouse.gov/the record. 46's record there. 45's record is there. 44's, 43. Go all the way back if you want. You will see how successful this administration is, and we want to continue the upswing.
Absolutely.
We want America to move forward, not backwards. We're not going back.
That's right. Tomorrow, Tara will be joining me for the 24-hour live stream at one point for an hour.
I will be here.
What time are you coming?
I think around 6.
Yeah, 6 p.m. Okay, gotcha. Our time, yes. So we're on the same thing. So 6 p.m. That'll be fantastic. We'll definitely be looking at right at that point. If you come in on 6, that's when a lot of the polls start closing East Coast, and we'll really start seeing some numbers coming in. So we'll start. I'll have a chart up. I'll have an actual. I'll be able to throw to my own Steve Kornacki board that I can start coloring in.
Are you gonna wear khakis? Are you gonna wear khakis in a button?
By no means. I would never step into this. This is a 24-hour live stream. You are lucky I'm wearing pants at all. Yeah, I sleep in a.
Awesome.
I sleep in just underwear, so like at some point.
You know, early vote. I'm really interested in seeing the early voting numbers because we set records in every single state for early voting, and so
Pennsylvania is not going to wait to count them this time.
Which what?
Pennsylvania's not going to wait to count them this time. Pennsylvania's going to. They don't have to pause. They can count all night long.
That's right, and also today. Election Eve, the Harris Walz campaign is holding rallies in all 7 swing states, including 2 rallies in Pennsylvania, 1 in Pittsburgh, 1 in Philadelphia. Kamala will be at both. We got Lady Gaga showing up for Kamala Harris. Who do they have? Kid Rock, and that the weird.
I don't think it's really. I don't think it's the real. I don't think it's real Kid Rock. I think it's Dr. Phil in a hat.
It's uncanny. The resemblance is uncanny. Everybody, the good guys, it's the good guys versus the bad guys. We are the good guys, and the good guys need to prevail because we need to leave this era behind us and move forward. We're all exhausted, and we're tired of the negativity.
Yes, agreed.
And we're ready. We're ready for a boom time.
We'll have we'll definitely have plenty of cats tomorrow as well, both on my screen and your screen. I have no doubt.
Yes.
So
let's do
right
it.
now after the show, I'm gonna go make my screens for tomorrow. So I will see you later. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else.
Bye, guys.
See you later, Tara.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Don't forget to vote.
Don't forget to vote if you haven't voted already. If you've already voted, don't vote again, you weirdos. All right. No matter what. May Musk tells you. And chat room, you guys rule, and I want to remind you that
they're in the dogs. Oh, they're in the back. What? They're in the geese. What? They're in the cats. Meow. Fistful of kitty litter, never been a quitter. Dog on a spit, tastes like chicken and stinger licking geese, a piece of thigh. Hot grease got in my eye. I tried, but don't know why. I can't stop eating the pet in the dogs. Oh, they're in the back. What? They're in the geese. What? They're in the cats. Meow.
So, and don't forget, every song Trump plays at any of his rallies is a big gay anthem.
What I wanna do.
So, yeah. So, every single song that he plays at his rallies, those kind of lyrics. I'm just saying. And then, I'll play some more for you tomorrow. I've got a bunch more. I'll play some of the songs that I rejected as well during certain moments. We'll play some of those songs, and because it's music that I can play. Is that from Queer's Vote? No, that's a song I wrote using AI. The music and the vocals are done by AI. The lyrics I wrote. I will, Cheryl. Thank you. Oh, Cheryl, thank you very much. Oh, I'll keep you positive. Don't you worry about it. It's going to be all good. I told you, and I'm going to tell you again. And you're going to be mad at me for being right. And I love you guys. And then wait till this, I got to tell you, wait till this shit works out. where like Matt Gaetz is going to go to jail. Like, dude, we have this so much fun to be had. Come on. We are truly a nation in decline. Mine is a rectum in decline. Mine is a sphincter in decline. I can't hold it in anymore. Any less. I have a butthole in decline. Why must? All right, so I want you guys to just relax, enjoy your evening. Please, if you have not voted, I want to hear from you tomorrow when we're live streaming. I want you to check in with me as soon as you get back and go, hey, I just came from voting. It was awesome. Tell me what happened. Maybe we'll even hook up the Patreon chat in Discord so that I can talk to you. I'll see what I can do about hooking up the audio so that I can hear you and talk to you via that without headphones so that it doesn't overlap. We'll figure it out. That would be kind of amazing. Or maybe, if I use earbuds, I could, because Summer might want to talk too. So if I can give her one, that's what we'll do. We'll do that. What? Yes, truth, justice, and the American what? We're electing a prosecutor. Yes, we are. Oh, it's going to be so good. Now that's fine. She's fine. Let me tell you what. Yeah. Hold on.
Who wants people coming in from foreign countries? Who wants people coming in from? Like an idiot.
Yeah. So there you go. I will. I'll see you guys later this afternoon. I will be streaming a little bit early. I don't want to overlap with some of the other folks because I know there's a lot of streaming going on. And I don't want to eat into their stuff because I'm good that way. Does anybody else show me that kind of courtesy? No. Can they afford to? No, because I have the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. They gotta scramble for every piece of every bite they can get their hands on. I understand it. But ultimately, it's not going to help them in the end. Sorry. Too bad. Hit that like, everybody.